Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including four-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfalla.
And Ray Alfalla is a four-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
Three-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a three-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare two laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to round 4 of the brand new Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series presented by Performance Texas Elite Graphics, Apex Racing Academy, and Extreme Scoring here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me, as always, in the announce booth is Larry McLeod with Apex Racing TV's Dennis Branch manning the cameras tonight. And, of course, this week we head to the Great White North and a track celebrating its 60th year as the sentimental home of Canadian road racing. The course that put the Can in Can-Am and the original home of the Formula One Canadian Grand Prix, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, otherwise known as Mosport. So first off, good evening, Larry. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great, eh? Just glad to be up here up north and enjoying the scenery, eh?
Yes, sir, And, I had a great time watching hockey last night, so I figured it was time for us to start watching racing here from north of the border.
Oh, yeah, the hockey season's now going, so yeah, we got that. But tonight we got a good race.
Yes, we certainly do.
Stop doing this accent very soon, I promise.
Yes, please do. But I am wearing a toque tonight in deference to all of our Canadian drivers. So last time we saw our Huracan drivers, Larry, we were at America's National Park of Speed, and tonight we embark upon its Canadian cousin. Caleb Lavender, he had the 4-mile circuit out in Wisconsin. He really had it figured out. He came away with a second-place finish and also took a win in each of our two 30-minute sprint races. But can he apply what he learned there, what he learned at Road America, to CTMP's long, fast sweepers and extreme elevation changes?
Maybe. It's tough track. It is a little bit different. It's not the long straightaways. It has one straightaway, but man, this place has got fast sweepers, or Road America has got one or two, but this place is all about the speed of the sweeps and the ups and down the hills.
Yeah, it is. You switch between on camber to off camber, and I'll tell you, as I was sitting in and watching some of our drivers out for practice tonight, Larry, I have never seen such great displays of drifting skills, and it almost looked like synchronized swimming to some extent. At one point we had 3 cars all with a nice little drift going down the hill through turn 1 heading towards turn 2. One of them caught it, 2 of them didn't, but still, I think kind of what we saw, if you remember last time we saw our LTS folks at Road America, some of them were having some issues towards the end of the sprint races with tires. That I think at one point you mentioned that we're on lap number 12 of a 13-lap race, and these apparently are 10-lap tires for the drivers, and cars were getting very loose. And so what it looks like from watching practice here, it's something our drivers obviously are going to have to watch again, given the format here, which are 2 30-minute sprint races, no pit stops, no real time to come into the pits and put new tires on, et cetera. So it'll definitely make for a challenge. And I think somewhat, Road America very hard on brakes, but you don't necessarily think of it as a track that's hard on tires. I think CTMP with some of its sweepers here may actually present a new challenge for these drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a bit different. So one thing about this track, which a lot of people realize, it is so difficult to pass around here, and these big Lamborghinis are not going to make it any easier, because they'll all come out of the hairpin with the same amount of grunt, and they'll all go into some of these big sweepers about the same way. But this place is just notorious for tough to pass, even though it is extremely fast. And I think qualifying is going to be critical for tonight's race. You want to qualify in this front row, or maybe front 2 rows at most. Beyond that, you're going to be looking at mayhem going down through turn 2 and into turn 3, where up front you got a shot to maybe make some noise, but passing is going to be probably the toughest thing tonight.
Yeah, I completely agree, Larry. But before we get to qualifying, let's do this, much like we do every single week. Let's hand things over to Kevin Ford. He's going to walk us through this beautiful 2.45-mile, 10-turn Canadian Tire Motorsports circuit with tonight's track guide.
Welcome, everyone, to beautiful Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this beautiful 2.46-mile course. This one is one of my favorites. It is full of undulation. It is full of radical corners, and it is full of a lot of speed. Here we go. Let's take off and head down the front straightaway. You'll notice our main pit area to the right, our fans to the left, sitting up on the hillside there, as they do around most of this course. Coming down into turn 1 here, this is a very fast right-hand sweeper. Drivers will use up every inch of that exit to get a good run up into turn 2 here. And this is the dastardly corner. Track just falls out from underneath you. Car wants to drift out into the grass there. You got to be real careful coming to throttle. Coming down into turn 3 here, pretty simple turn, a little bit of a crest there at apex. Tend to get that back end loose there as well. As we come out of 3, we'll head down into 4 here. This will take us into Moss Corner, the famous Moss Corner. Down into second gear here for this corner. We're going to get a wide rotation, come right back to the bottom and right back to the floor and up and out of that corner and up onto Andretti straightaway. 2 very slight bends to the right here, turns 6 and 7, coming around 6 now. This is the best opportunity for slipstream here at Canadian Tire. One long backstretch here, and this is where overtaking happens. Coming down here into turn 8. Big sweeping carousel. This will bring us to the left-hander of 9. Our pit entry will be to the right there, and then into the final quarter of turn 10, right back to throttle and up out of the exit. This will bring us back.
All right, thank you so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide here at Mosport, or Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, as it is currently known. And we're on track right now with the start of qualifying. And as we do every week here and every round here in the LTS, we have a 15-minute qualifying session, what they call lone qualifying session, where the drivers appear to have the track all to themselves. They'll have 4 laps in order to set their fast time and set the grid for race number 1. And then, based on the finish of that first race, we'll invert the top 10 finishers for race number 2. Now, we were watching a little while ago Scott Ramler driving the number 39 GTM racing machine. There's Scott. He is a new entrant in the LTS this round, and we have 2 other new drivers as well. We've got Rafael Sosa. He's driving the number 50 RS Motorsports machine. He'll be in the pro category along with Scott. And then we've got Ryan Cobb. He's in the 999 machine, and he will be in the open category. But Larry, again, we'll take a look here. Now, in practice, Mr. Ramler was, I believe, our 3rd fastest driver in the pro ranks. So we'll have to see how he does here tonight in his LTS debut.
Yeah, I think a lot of people want to get in on the big prizes available in the Lamborghini Trophy Series, so I think that's part of it. But also, it is a great series, and who wouldn't want to be a part of this? I would be if I wasn't here, having a good time talking it up with you, Greg. So I'm looking forward to seeing these rookies tonight, seeing how they mix it up with our seasoned veterans that we've had so far, with like the usuals cast of characters, Schwenke and Ruddick and those guys.
Yeah, and so you mentioned the great prizes. We'll let it be known once again that at the end of the season, this is not a season championship prize, but we will be giving away a free, not free. Well, yeah, it's free. 5 hot laps at Las Vegas Motor Speedway in a real Lamborghini Gallardo. We'll also be giving a driver free coaching leading up to those 5 hot laps in the Gallardo. And that is going to be given out and awarded to one of our drivers. It's going to essentially be raffled off at the end of the season. And the way that you get additional entries in the raffle is by scoring points, is by finishing well. You'll get a raffle entry for each and every point that you score in the series. So the better you do, the better your chances are to win. And so with that, we're now just about a third of the way through qualifying. Currently, your fastest driver on track is Mike Dam in the number 93 machine with a fast time of a 1:15.07. And a little bit further back, we've got Caleb Lavender and Travis Schwenke. Those are your top 3 in the pro category. In the open category, Russ Ruddick, currently your fast driver, to 1:15.8, with Bobby Childs about 7/10 of a second back from there to 1:16.5, and then Scott Brooks, your 3rd fastest driver in the open category. But speaking of open category drivers, tell you what, Larry, we've got sitting waiting for us right now. He's in the green room. That is John Casey, currently sitting, I believe, 3rd in the open category championship, driver of the number 78 046 racing entry. Let's bring him in and talk to him so he can get out and qualify.
All right. Yeah, we've got John Casey with us here tonight. John, welcome to the conversation booth, as we'll call it. Welcome to the Ricmotech Lamborghini Trophy Series. I think this is your first season on the Ricmotech series?
It is. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, what's that?
I said it is, and thanks for having me.
Oh, great. Yeah, a little echo in the background. But, yes, and actually I'm looking at it. It looks like you've only been on iRacing for maybe about a year or so. What drew you, as you came into the Ricmotech series?
I always wanted to race and never just really had the opportunity. And during the pandemic, I didn't even know about it, and I seen what I seen. I just fell all into it, And it's just an opportunity for me to do something I want to do. I always wanted to do, And
yeah.
To me, it's all seat time and learning. This is the only experience I've ever had, so it's just a learning game,
Do you have any other motorsports experience prior to coming in?
No. Just a fan, really.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of folks get in because Real World Motorsports brings with it big dollars, but here in iRacing, and here in the Apex Racing TV. We bring a lot of great series. Ricmotech certainly is one of them. So glad you're able to join us. What's your expectations for this race tonight? Any strategies or thoughts of where you want to try and cut where you want to be after tonight?
Really survive. It's all a learning game to me, really. But this track's so flowy and throttle game, especially with these cars. Get out of it too much, it's going to swap ends with you. So you got to play with it a lot.
Very, very true.
So much throttle, in the long curves.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
It's fun though.
It is. I love this track. I think this car is a pretty good challenge for this track. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you can do in qualifying. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but good luck tonight, John. And we will be looking for you on the grid here, maybe even in the winner's circle at the end of the day.
Thanks, guys.
Right. Thanks, John.
All right, there you go. John Casey, driver of the number 78046 racing entry. And Larry, believe it or not, John Casey had already put in all 4 of his hot laps before he jumped in the booth with us.
Holy cow.
Got it done early, but he is currently sitting 5th in class. We'll see how things play out there, but I think the only other driver possibly that may be able to move up ahead of him, we're looking at Ryan Cobb, who we had just mentioned. That 999 machine has not turned a lap as of yet. We'll see if he comes out for qualifying. But as we've got our drivers heading out, we talked about Mike Dam being up at the front of the field. Tell you what, let's take a look back. I mentioned Caleb Lavender in the Open about how well he did at Road America, but let's take a look back a couple of weeks ago to that round 3 weekend, or not weekend, but weeknight, Monday night at Road America, where Mike Dam, who is our provisional pole sitter at the moment, he took the first win and the first race of the evening in his 93 Orion Racing entry with Lavender in his Lavender Racing entry, finishing 2nd, and then Travis Schwenke, Mike Dam's teammate, finished in 3rd. And then, of course, we invert the order. Top 10 finishers get inverted, and that really mixed things up in the pro category, as Caleb Lavender did take the win in race number 2. Pasquale Iannucci finished 2nd, then Schwenke, then Dam worked his way up to 4th, then Tony Kernan finished in 5th. And if we take a look at the points now in the pro category after 3 rounds, Mike Dam is your leader, and he's got a pretty substantial lead there, Larry. 195 points to his teammate Travis Schwenke's 166. Then another 14 points back to Chris Thorman in the D2D E-Racing entry, the number 60 machine. Then Caleb Lavender, who had that win last week, he's sitting back in 4th. And then
he's
Randall
only had 2 events so far. He was a
Yeah,
DNS for round 1, so keep your eye on Lavender to move up these ranks pretty quickly as he gets to the point where everyone starts to get drops, because he's one of the quickest.
Yeah, there exactly, and he was very, very quick, and we're watching him right now here, where he is on. Actually, I believe he just completed his last flying lap, good enough for 2nd for the outside of the front row. We'll see if any of our other drivers can eclipse that. So let's go. We'll take a look at the Open category, where Russ Ruddock took the race 1 win at Road America, with Bobby Childs finishing 2nd, Nick Parsoneau, Mike Taylor, Scott Brooks rounding out the top 5. John Casey, who we just spoke to a few moments ago, finished 6th in race 1, as he did in race number 2, where Bobby Childs took the win in race 2. Mike Taylor finished 2nd, with Scott Brooks, Parsoneau, and Ruddock rounding out the top 5. And if we take a look at the points now, in the Open category, the Flying Tortoise Motorsports entry of Russ Ruddock, he is your points leader right now, only with a 6-point advantage over Mike Taylor in the Frito Sport racing car. Then we've got John Casey. Again, not the greatest outing at Road America, but he is sitting 3rd in the points, not all that far back at 111 points, with Bobby Childs at 103, and Alexander Theologus sitting back in 5th position. And I don't know if Theologus is here with us this evening. I don't believe he is.
Well, if he's not, that's going to be a better opportunity for some other folks, because, he's been relatively quick there in those first couple of rounds, but now with the DNS last time as well as tonight, that's going to be tough to move on up. So we'll see if Nick Parsoneau or so can maybe take advantage of that tonight.
All right, so as we take a look at where we stand right now, with just a couple minutes left here in qualifying, I think we've got things already played out completely here. in the pro category. Mike Dam is currently your provisional pole sitter. He's only turned in 3 out of 4 laps, but all of the other cars up towards the top end of the field there in the pro category have already put in 4 laps. And so you can see the margins there on the timing tower on the left-hand side, where Lavender 1,800ths back, then Tony Kernan another 3,600ths back, then Travis Schwenke, and then we've got Eric Violet rounding out the top 5. And then if we drop down a little bit further, we take a look. Russ Ruddock is your provisional pole sitter, and I believe this is more or less the same story here in the open category. The majority of our drivers have already turned in their 4 laps. Russ Ruddock is your provisional pole sitter with a fast time of a 1:15.86. Bobby Child, second fastest at a 1:15.92. So only
pretty close.
Yeah, very, very close. Only 600ths of a second off. Third fastest, Scott Brooks at a 1:16.67. So a little bit further off our top 2 drivers. Then Nick Parsono, John Casey, and as we mentioned, Ryan Cobb has not gone and taken a lap as of yet. I wouldn't expect to see him out for qualifying. Now, if you take a look at the timing tower on your left-hand side, you'll see cars with a black position on them, the far left of the timing tower, and then some with the red. The black cars with the black are our pro drivers, and you'll notice also that when you look at the cars on track, much like we are following Andre Saunders right now in the 78 machine, they have black mirrors and black end plates on those wings.
Pretty drift, by the way. You were talking earlier about it.
Yes,
that might have been. That's going to get about a 9.5, I think, from this judge. That was solid.
I think the Canadian judges ranked that quite highly there. So Saunders, we're guessing that this was his 4th and final flying lap. Probably not going to move up from 13th. Yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the replay here, Larry. I think look at this. I mean, he literally had it perpendicular.
Oh, just beautiful.
And then gives a tiny little bit of opposite lock to straighten it back out at the end, and he's back on his way.
Never gives it up. That's how it's done, boys and girls, right there.
There you go. All right, and so our open category drivers, they will have the red positions by their names on that timing tower, and they will have the red mirrors on their cars. So that's how we'll tell them apart, and we'll remind you of that a couple times through the broadcasts here this evening. But Larry, as we still have just about 45 seconds left in qualifying, I believe Mr. Saunders may be the only driver left on track, and now he isn't on track. He's down in the pits, and we've got a couple moments here to rest and relax before we start gridding up our racers for race number 1.
Well, as we do always here in Lamborghini Trophy Series week, we do start to look at that critical passing spot, that 10th place at the end of the first race that gets that pole position in race number 2 we'll invert that order. And that always becomes a critical fight. See who's in the 12th, 11th spots, try and nab up into that 10th to try and get that free pass. Tonight, it's going to be tough tonight right now. If you look at who's in 10th, it's, I believe, Steve Daniel. And then right behind him should be Rafael Sosa, Bobby Childs, and then Jacob LeBrun, kind of right there in the next in order, I believe.
Yeah, and they were all within a couple hundredths of a second of one another here in qualifying. As we now have drivers gridding up, getting ready for race number 1. And let's go and we'll run down the starting order here for this race. Your pole sitter tonight in the Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series, Mike Dam in the Orion Racing number 93 machine. Fast time, 1:15.071. 1,800ths up on the man who will share the front row with him. That's Caleb Lavender in the D2D E-Racing entry, the 333 car. Row number 2, Tony Kernan driving the number 7 Kernan Motorsports entry with our pole sitter's teammate, Travis Schwenke in the number 16 machine, sitting on the outside of row number 2. Eric Violet will start 5th with his teammate, the D2D Racing pair of Violet and Whitworth will make up row number 3. Then we've got newcomer Scott Ramler in the GTM Racing entry, the number 39 car. He'll start 7th with Jeff Jacobs in the StreetSurvival.org entry, starting in 8th. Russ Ruddock our pole sitter in the open category. He will start in 9th today with Steve Daniel right beside him, starting in 10th. Then row number 6, Rafael Sosa, another newcomer out of Puerto Rico, and the number 50 Roger Motorsports entry has Bobby Childs in the D2D e-racing machine starting right next to him. Let's take a look now at row number 7, where Jacob LeBrun and JT McClintock will make up that entry. I think the two Michiganers out of VTS Racing. And then we've got Andre Saunders starting 15th with Scott Brooks starting 16th. Nick Parsono 17th with John Casey 18th. And I want to thank John Casey once again for sitting in with us here this evening pre-race. And then if he makes an appearance, we've got John Allen in the 101 Astro Autosports machine starting 19th, but he did not go out for qualifying. John Allen, a former race winner here in the LTS. And looks like we're not going to have the pleasure of seeing Mr. Allen toss that Lamborghini around.
He did practice, so that's what kind of makes me a bit surprised here that he doesn't get the chance to qualify. Maybe something came up. We'll have to see. Kind of the same for Ryan Cobb, who had practiced but did not actually run a qualifying lap.
All right, so pace lap is underway, and we've got the drivers making their way around this 2.45 mile 10-turn course, and we'll be able to see here, of course, Kevin Ford, I think, did a great job of giving everybody the lay of the hilly land here in Ontario, but you can see here as they make that run down to turn 2. I think that's probably going to be certainly one of the more exciting areas, Larry. We always seem to get a lot of cars finding that they start that pass coming out of turn 1, running down the hill, and then basically they can't hold grip as they sit around the outside of turn number 2, and it always creates some interesting action.
And sometimes they drift around turn 2,
yeah.
And sometimes they do stay out there, but then they're on the inside then for going into turn 3. So that's what makes this place interesting, is you can a lot of places to stay side by side. Probably the only exception being this right here, the Moss Hairpin. I don't think anyone's going to try and go side by side through there. But we've seen many a time at the end of that Andretti Straight, as they come into the S's, they'll be side by side up there. So
yes,
that's where the fun will be. And these guys don't really drag much of a draft. So this long straightaway, that's, if you're in a low power car like the Miata, the Skippy, something like that, you can make passes up there. These, you better outdrive somebody out of that hairpin and get a run all the way up into the S's. Maybe then you have a shot to go side by side through, all of them, all the way through the end there and come out of the front straight. It's going to be exciting with these big horsepower cars here.
And of course, and you mentioned the Moss corner, the double apex hairpin that always seems to create issues, especially later on in the race for drivers. As we've got Mike Dam and Caleb Lavender now heading into the S's over at turns 8 and 9. And we see as the pace car now separates himself from the rest of the field, our pole sitter Mike Dam holding the field back just a little bit, but right now is what they consider the beginning of the acceleration zone, or the start zone here. And you can see Mike Dam getting underway and gets a little loose coming out of the final corner there, Larry. Maybe didn't get the jump that he wanted, but as they come through turn 1, start to make their way down the hill, Caleb Lavender and Tony Kernan side by side, but now Lavender seems to get the position. Dropping back behind him is Kernan, then Schwenke, then Eric Violet, then Whitworth, then the newcomer Ramler with Jeff Jacobs and Steve Daniel. And you can see there, getting very, very loose is Scott Ramler and Whitworth. Yeah, Whitworth still trying to gather things up in that blue, the blue number 42 machine. I think actually got into the side of Ramler there as they were coming through turn 2.
They did a little bit, but nobody was off track. We're all still good, but couple of exciting corners there. Yeah, it's turn 3 is so much slower than turn 2. It is that opportunity, especially in the opening laps, as you got McClintock already on the outside of Sosa coming off the hairpin.
And a little contact too between those two drivers. And
Larry,
weren't you just saying you didn't want to go through there side by side, and you can see things bottling up a little bit behind them as looks like JT McClintock and LeBrun are trying to look for a way past.
Yeah, the teammates maybe trying to work together, probably on comms together. But at this point, I don't know so much. It looks like McClintock's going to stay side by side with his own teammate and try and stay up there in form with Sosa. As behind them, Was that the 72 of Saunders now thinking he can make a move on LeBrun.
All right, and so as we complete lap number 1, Mike Dam is your leader, Lavender second, Tony Kernan third, Travis Schwenke fourth, and Violet fifth. And yeah, as we were watching here, as Andre Saunders, Drift King Andre Saunders, tries to find his way around the two teammates, McClintock and LeBrun, cannot quite get it done here. As we jump back up to the battle for the lead, and Mike Dam has opened up about a 3-car length advantage now over Caleb Lavender as they come over the crest of the hill, over at turn number 3. And then start making that run, another uphill over towards 4, and they're going to start making their way to the hairpin.
This will be interesting to watch as these tires, in a qualifying session, by the 4th lap, you're just about at your best tires, but this being a much longer race here, the full 30 minutes, you're going to go well beyond that. These tires, though, they're not instant hot either, so they do take a couple laps. So right now, these guys, as they're finishing lap 2, they're getting there. You get about lap 4 and 5, and they really start to come into their own. Be curious to see if Lavender can stick with Dam out there, if Tony Kernan can even kind of close that gap a little bit and not let them quite steal away from them. That's not going to be easy because Schwenke, Dam's teammate, is going to make every effort to stick on the heels there of Tony Kernan.
Tony Kernan. And you can see here how close things are up at the top of the field. Only 0.03 of a second difference in lap times between our top two drivers. As we jump back a little bit, this is the battle for 7th right now. Jeff Jacobs with Brandon Whitworth here, and you can see they're not all that far out of the group up at the top of the field here. Drop back just a little bit.
Just watch the different lines through here, especially in this exit here, see how wide each of them runs.
Yeah.
Not too different this time, but Whitworth a little bit cleaner on a couple of the earlier corners. But again, he's just trying to find a way to pass Jeff Jacobs somewhere in here. But we talked about in the opening, this place is so difficult to pass. You've got to get alongside somebody coming up here to the S's, and that's really your best shot. Whitworth might be looking to pull alongside. Not this lap, though.
Yeah, not quite that time, and looks like Jacobs was pretty sure that he wasn't going to leave the door open for Mr. Whitworth there, as we now take a look backwards at the 42 machine of Whitworth, who's recovered somewhat from that again, very early in the race on lap 1. Cold tires, car got a little squirrely, and luckily he had another car there to arrest his sideways movement there. But we jump back up right now. This is the battle for 5th right now, with Violet and newcomer Rambler right back behind. And I don't want to call it the battle for 5th at this point, because it's really the battle for 3rd, as Kernan, Schwenke, Violet, and Rambler all in very close quarters.
And Saunders here willing to try everything to get around McClintock as he got past the LeBrun's made his way back there as well. LeBrun looks like he's gotten past McClintock, so there's a little bit of shuffling back in this order from how they were a little bit ago, and McClintock seems to have lost pace here, but Saunders would love to get by either one of those two cars at this point.
You can see now he's trying to come down the inside. Thinks he got a good run, making his way down the Andretti straight. But we're going to jump to the 96 machine now of Steve Daniel, who is our lead car in that group. We've got Russ Ruddick sitting right behind him, and then Bobby Childs. Now that is the battle. If we take a look at those 2nd and 3rd cars in that line, as we had Rambler go off at the final corner.
The new kid has now been christened into the league. Gotten his way a little bit loose there, coming at the end of the S's, so he's here in turn 8.
Yeah, and you can see already had the rear end hanging out just a little bit through 8 as he comes through 9. And let's see what happens as he comes through the final corner.
That grass just at
just
the
dropped the
entry
wheel.
of 10, and too much damage, able to continue, but that's going to lose a whole lot of ground and puts him pretty far back of where that transfer spot is. That's that transfer spot we talk about as being in that 10th or 9th place. That 10th spot would be the one that starts up the second race on pole. Right now, that's held down by Bobby Childs, in fact. So it's by track position and not by the number on the board, because the number 10, that's 10th in Pro Class,
right,
as opposed to the Open Class,
right.
Ruddick and Childs.
Yeah, so Ruddick is your leader in Open with Childs right behind, and you can see as Ruddick tries to get around Steve Daniel, maybe use Daniel as a bit of a pick there as they head now down into the S's over at turn 8, and Ruddick, he is going to sneak underneath Jeff Daniel as they now make their way Steve Daniel, as opposed to actor Jeff Daniels. As they make their way now onto the front straight here. Now Bobby Childs, he's going to have to find his way around the number 96 machine in order to get back into that battle for the lead in the open category.
Yeah, he's going to have to work at that because I think Reddick's going to want to make sure he nails down some good points here and try to make a run for trying to win this open class throughout the rest of the season. And Daniel here in the pro class, he's kind of right in the middle of all this.
Yeah.
And for Bobby Childs, he wants to get around him as much as he can, but he's pretty quick, and he's
one he's pretty quick, but you can also see the 96 car maybe playing a defensive game at this point as they came out
away is the train of cars behind him.
Yeah. And obviously I think it's a little difficult also. I think most of these drivers, if they were, to peek back behind the glass, if they're looking at their relative screens, they'll have to know that the driver behind is in a different category or different class because all these drivers are driving the single GT3 Lamborghinis. They all, according to iRacing, look the same here, but I think Childs probably has an idea that he's not in the same class as Daniel and vice versa. And Bobby Childs now does make his way around Childs, and he's making up. He's trying to still stay clear. Childs almost drops a wheel coming out of turn one.
I tell you what, that is one of the most dangerous places in iRacing to drop a wheel is the exit of turn one here at Mosport, because the car will just go instant loose. I don't know if it also high centers on that outside curve, but it's dangerous. And Bobby right there just kind of danced with it, managed to contain it, and continue. But boy, that's a fraction of an inch away from putting that thing into a spin and down into the wall there on the pit exit side.
Oh, and here come the two teammates again, side by side, with McClintock and LeBrun. Looks like McClintock's going to take the position right there.
Yeah,
So
I thought maybe Saunders was going to slip inside LeBrun there as well, but LeBrun able to hold him off. You got a peek up here at Jeff Jacobs, and I believe that's Whitworth. Trying to make his way, trying to go around the long way.
Yeah, it's the 42 of Whitworth on the outside, and he manages to get around Jeff Jacobs, and it looks like Jacobs, I don't want to say just let him take it.
I don't think Jeff wanted to go side by side to the S's. Maybe he's not that comfortable there, whereas I think Whitworth was ready to say, hey, let's do it. And that little bit of extra bravery, kind of saying, like a game of chicken, Whitworth said, I'll do it if you will, and I think Jacobs may have backed down.
Yeah, may have blinked.
Yep.
All right, let's jump back now to the battle for the lead here, Larry. And Mike Dam had about a 3.5 car length advantage over Caleb Lavender the last time we watched. Now, again, these two drivers, they finished 1 and 2 in race 1 at Road America just a few weeks ago. And we'll see here as they go. But for the moment, Mike Dam has about a half-second advantage. He finished that race at Road America with about a 2.5 second margin back to Caleb Lavender. But so far, keeping very close. Both drivers have they haven't ditched Tony Kernan there, but Kernan is a little bit over 2 seconds in arrears.
Yeah. He's lost whatever draft he might have had. It's at 1.8, I think, behind Lavender, and that is Andre Saunders proving his drifting works in the grass as well. It's just not the fastest way around.
No. Let's take a look at the replay here, Larry. Let's see what happened.
Smells of hairpin, which is the down the hill, on the brakes, turn in, hit that little bump, and lose all the grip at mid-corner.
And that's just what he did.
And around he went. Didn't hit anything. Lucky for him, able to continue. But, yeah, the undulations there with the way that they've built that hairpin, where you come up the hill braking, and then it sort of goes flat, and then it drops back down a little bit before it finally makes the climb coming up the Andretti Straight. And that little bit of a flat area mid-corner makes the cars really light and loose as you then try to power down and come out of it. It's so difficult to do right, and it's right on the scary edge if you're doing it fast. And for Saunders there, went over that edge a little bit, and luckily was able to continue without any body damage.
Yeah, and as we've seen here at CTMP tonight, these rear-wheel drive chassis, it's a nice little dance you have to play, Larry, in order to keep the rear end of the car underneath you. As we come up to the hairpin once again, as we're watching the 88 machine of Childs from the cockpit of Steve Daniel to see how he negotiates that. And that little whoop-de-doo there coming out of the first portion of the hairpin. Moss Corner over at 5A is one piece, but we also see a lot of drivers as they get on in the race, they try and push the braking zone a little bit deeper and deeper there, and we'll typically start to see drivers go off over at 5B, the second portion of that hairpin. So something to definitely keep an eye on here as things proceed, as we're on track right now with right now, that's the purple machine of Sosa, and he's got Steve Daniel and Bobby Childs just ahead. Sosa currently sitting 9th in the pro category, Daniel sitting in 8th. But I think most importantly, Sosa right now, he's sitting right back in 11th position overall, just out of that spot that would put him on pole for race number 2. Of course, we're not even halfway through this first 30-minute sprint yet.
Quite yet. So a lot of racing still to be had and a lot of mistakes that can be made, and makes things like this that much more exciting as Parsono and the 39 Rambler going side by side. Parsono giving way a little bit there. Scott Rambler still recovering from that spin that he had earlier. Car doesn't look too slow for it though, but this battle's not going anywhere as Caleb Lavender just continues to just hound the back of Mike Dam. What I do see though is Tony Kernan has gotten a little bit closer to that.
Yes, he has. Yeah, he's definitely closed up. Matter of fact, he's closed up about a full second since the last time we checked in with him. Larry, definitely starting to close things down here. That last time by Kernan ran almost a half a second faster than our 2 leaders.
I'm looking at that lap time of Lavender, a 16.2, wondering if we missed perhaps Lavender and Dam, maybe even trying a side-by-side or something there, because their pace slipped that half a second, allowing Kernan to move up a little bit, as opposed to Kernan putting in some tremendously fast flyer. He looks like he's pretty consistent, but I think Dam and Lavender may have had a slip up there that helped Kernan bring up the gap a little bit.
All right, let's jump back here. Battle that we had been watching with Sosa and Daniel, the battle for 10th overall, the battle for 8th in the pro category. Just ahead of them is Bobby Childs, who is running 2nd in the open category. Childs about second, maybe a little bit over a second back from our leader in the open category, Russ Ruddock, who you saw there in that last shot up ahead in the green number 95 machine.
Rafael Sosa, again, one of the newcomers here to the league, actually from Puerto Rico. So we've got the unofficial 51st state here joining us tonight, so that's kind of cool. I don't think we've had anybody from the Puerto Rican Islands joining us on a past series, so we've got him here tonight.
We'll have to see if anybody's here from Washington, D.C., Larry, who I think they might
beat them to the punch.
They're the unofficial 51st state.
That's true. It could be. We'll see how that goes. Puerto Rico's been asking for it longer, I think, than D.C.
Yes, they have.
I don't want to get into politics now. Instead, we've got Brooks and Rambler still fighting it out in their dueling white cars.
Yeah, so Rambler currently running 14th overall, 12th in the pro category after his off over at turn 10 a few laps ago, and sitting back behind or just ahead of Scott Brooks in the number 94 machine. Oh, look at this, going off the 42 machine of Brandon Whitworth. We saw him have some issues earlier on, and Larry, look at this. Is this at the hairpin where he might have outbroke himself?
Mid-corner of the hairpin. Looks like he's gone a bit deep and gotten into that wall. Let's see if that's what it was. Again, good shot going out of the Continental Bridge, down the hill to the hairpin. How loose is he getting under braking? Yep, there you go. Clips a little bit of that entry curve, just enough to catch the grass in the exit. And I think that was Jeff Jacobs doing the evasive maneuvers to avoid him. As that is Andre Saunders, this time not surviving his trip to the hairpin. He's back on the toe into the pits. We'll catch his replay. This is the second time for Saunders now struggling down at this end.
Yeah, first time he let the rear end go by, went to the inside and popped over the curbing and into the wall.
Because he's survived.
Yeah.
And then got himself down and decided just to call the toe and call it quits. I'm not sure if he thought that wasn't going to recover, but either way for Saunders, he's now in the pits on the toe.
Yeah, and it looks like his session is now done. It looks like, and I'm just getting word that LeBron has gone off track. We saw him in that battle with his teammate a little bit earlier, JT McClintock.
Looks like maybe turn 2 coming down the hill.
Yeah.
As he's recovered now and got his way through turn 3. I don't see any damage on the car.
All right, let's take a look at the replay here, see what happened. There he was with his teammate McClintock.
He's a little behind him, though, but this might be fully self-induced. Misses the apex
Yeah.
by just a little and tries to put on the Andre Saunders drift show. Doesn't quite do it, ends up out there mowing the lawn, and lucky for him, no harm on the car, but a whole lot of pride lost as he drops back in the order.
All right, look at this. Bobby Childs had caught up to Russ Ruddock, the battle for the lead in the open category. Remember that Ruddock had really opened up a pretty decent gap early on as Bobby Childs was finding a way to get around Steve Daniel. But those two drivers now going at it nose to tail with Bobby Childs now getting back in the lead, but a great battle here going on for the lead in our open category. And this is, they are running 7th and 8th currently overall. Right back behind them, we've got Daniel, we've got Sosa, and JT McClintock has now joined that little battle as well. Currently Sosa sitting in 10th with LeBrun having fallen back. Sosa currently sitting 10th. If the race were to end right now, he would be your pole sitter for race number 2.
Yeah, so we didn't see what happened to Russ Ruddock. I just see that he turned a 17.6 lap time in the middle of all that while Bobby was doing a 16.5. So I think, again, this is a case of Ruddock may have brought himself back into this mix, and Bobby just jumped on the opportunity. Bobby loving these Italian mid-engine sports cars. We know how much he loves his Ferraris. And he jumps in the there is no Ferrari in the Lamborghini Trophy Series. Instead, it's all Lamborghinis, but it's still a Italian sports car nonetheless. I think he loves it.
Look how defensive going into the S's that our leader Bobby Childs gets.
Does not want to take that chance. Is trying to let any opportunity side by side for Ruddock.
No, not at all. And he's going to lead Ruddock out onto the front straight here as they complete lap number 14, start lap number 15. And they've gotten a little bit of breathing room also from that 3-car battle in the pro category back behind them. So at least for the moment, Ruddock doesn't have to necessarily worry about what's in his rearview mirror.
Yeah. This battle here, though, is interesting as we got an eye on the Sosa and McClintock battle. You'd say, okay, what's so great about the battle for 8th? That is the battle for the transfer spot.
Yes, it is.
As we are now 18 minutes or almost 19 into a 30-minute race. This starts to become critical, and I'm sure both Sosa and McClintock know what's happening around them and realize that, hey, one of us is going to start the next race at 11th, the other is going to start potentially on pole. Let's not screw this up, and let's make that pass at the end. So I think McClintock wants to at least stay there, but look for opportunities to make that pass.
All right, let's jump back. We haven't been with them for a while. Our leaders, Mike Dam and Caleb Lavender. Lavender, last time we saw was about a half a second back. Now only about 0.4 of a second back. And once again, they have both opened up a bit of a gap back to Tony Kernan in third. Kernan now sitting a little bit over 2 seconds in arrears. Last time we checked in was about 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, I think they picked up that pace again. So whatever happened a couple laps ago that brought them back into the mix there with Kernan, that seems to have cleared. They're back to running 15.3s. And that's quick. 15.3s.
Yes.
in qualifying trim. If I take a look real quick, a 15.3 would have put you inside of row 2. And that's what they're doing on, whatever lap we're on now, lap 16 of this race.
Yeah, and Larry, as we watched that shot, I think there was a great shot going into the Moss hairpin. As we were watching from the view of Caleb Lavender's, Mike Dam brought his Lamborghini under braking into turn 5B. You could see how leaned over that car was, how the off-camber entry into that second half of the hairpin there, and how it's really key.
Brandon Whitworth again.
Yeah, that's the third
hairpin
time
again,
I think.
Too. He's struggling mightily tonight down there.
Yeah, we may see him hanging out with Andre Saunders soon enough, as both of those drivers have had issues here. But I was saying that you could see the control that is necessary to keep the rear end of those cars underneath you going into the hairpin here. As we're back on board with Sosa and Daniel, as well as McClintock, all in a row again right now. Sosa, who has gotten around Steve Daniel, moves Sosa up now to 9th overall. That's going to drop Steve Daniel into that transfer spot into 10th overall. And McClintock just out of the, I don't want to say out of the money, but he is sitting back in 11th spot right now. Again, if the race were to end right now, he would start race number 2 in 11th, while Daniel would start on the pole. Sosa would start second.
So I do a lot of racing with on this platform with JT McClintock, and I know that he is going to fight with everything he's got for this spot before this race is through. There's going to at some point be a desperation side by side that may either end in tears or may end up in glory for him in the race 2 pole position, but he's certainly not going to sit back and just wait and finish 11th. He's going to give it a go at some point here. I don't know where it's going to be, but Steve Daniel may not want to make even the slightest bit of mistake because McClintock will pounce with everything. You can see right there, he's just going to push him. You can see how much faster McClintock is through 8, 9, and 10.
Yeah, he's very, very quick coming out of the hairpin on making the run down to the S's. And at least for the moment, Sosa has managed to separate himself out from Daniel. I mean, nothing that really stuck out like a sore thumb. Oh, speaking of sticking out like a sore thumb, though.
That's not going to help
running
him.
off right now is Steve Daniel. And, yeah, that's not going to help in his battle with JT McClintock.
I wonder if he's driving with his mirrors instead of driving with the windshield.
That's it. Oh, and now Tony Kernan goes off at the hairpin, and he's going to lose a position to Travis Schwenke. So Kernan, who'd been sitting pretty safely in third, back behind our leaders, Mike Dam and Caleb Lavender, he now falls back into 4th position in the pro category as Schwenke moves up to 3rd. And you can see Eric Violet starting to close things down just a little bit. Not quite close enough to put any pressure on Kernan, though. At this point, as Kernan is just getting back underway.
Yeah, I think Kernan now maybe a little bit frazzled, and that may be where Violet's thinking, hey, maybe he could try and pounce. But again, we go back to this battle for the transfer spot with McClintock 9th in pro or 11th on the track, trying to do anything he can. Like you said, we've seen him quick down this back straight. Look how close he is now coming onto the front straight, waiting for Daniel.
And look at this. This may change things
huge.
Considerably, Larry, as Sosa now goes off coming out of turn 10, cuts across the track or slams into the pit wall. That is now going to move Steve Daniel up in the 9th and McClintock the 10th. Let's take a look at the replay here.
I wonder if he gets wide coming out of 10.
Got a little curve
bit.
and
yeah, he gets
got
wide, catches the dirt. I can't believe how much that thing flipped from hitting that inside wall. Luckily, nobody else was gathered up in that. They all made it by clean.
All right, and so it looks as though Sosa has managed to continue that. I don't know how quick that car is going to be.
He wants that podium spot in the open class. I'll tell you that. I don't think he's going to get it, as I think Parsons is going to to get there quick.
Yeah,
actually,
it looks like
Sosa actually is part of the pro class.
Yeah, I was going to say Sosa's in the pro class, Larry. So that's going to drop him back into 10th in pro. But it looks like that car also having a bit of an issue with the right front tire not turning in for the left-handers. As we jump back now, and this is the battle for the lead. Mike Dam and Caleb Lavender. Again, they've got a little bit of breathing room now that Tony Kernan had his off, but you take a look here, and much as it's been the majority of the race, margin only about a half a second now, up to 0.6 of a second. So Dam in the last 2 laps has maybe eked out an extra 10th over Caleb Lavender. They're sitting in 2nd in the number 333 machine.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I think anything half a second or so is close enough. But Lavender, with probably only about 3 more shots at it, needs to figure out where his pass is going to be, as we're got a good shot here of Russ Ruddock, still trying to chase down Bobby Childs. This is also a pretty good battle here. Also only half a second apart between these 2 leaders.
That's right, as we're now just about 5 minutes remaining here in our first of 2 30-minute sprint races in the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series, live from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And yeah, this is a great battle that's been really brewing since the drop of the green flag, Larry. These drivers, they started off with a couple pro category drivers separating them. Were able to close things up pretty quickly. And again, Russ Ruddock, who had managed to open up an early lead in the open category, now trying to chase down the number 88 machine of Bobby Childs. As we jump back to this battle, which is no longer for the transfer spot, though, it is Steve Daniel in the 96, that bronze-colored car with the blue 21 of JT McClintock.
Well, that's Scott Rambler now behind them. He is now the one on the outside looking at the transfer spot. As we got a look here of Ruddock. You'll notice that Ruddock is not chasing down Bobby Childs any longer.
No, looks like he's kind of laid
I
out
thought for
of
a
it.
moment ago, as we had seen the group there of McClintock and Daniel going by turn 10, I thought I had seen Russ Ruddock almost at pit entry wall, so
Yeah.
he may have had an issue.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because he's given up second spot to Scott Brooks now and has dropped a number of cars back. Let's take a look here, Larry, and see if we can pick up exactly what happened as they came through the S's.
Same thing we'd seen earlier, another driver where you catch that dirt on the entry and spins you around.
Yeah, that's right. Dropped the wheel into the grass. And you can see there he had to get that big boat turned around and lost a number of positions in the process. Drop Ruddock now down to 12th overall. And that's going to have big implications for the start of race number 2, Larry.
It definitely will, because now he'll be on the outside looking in. Well, Bobby right now would be, if we started this race, he'd be starting the race in about 4th, I think. So that huge separation there in the open class when those two guys were nose to tail. Now they're going to start the second race at this point, probably about 8 spots apart.
Yeah, and remember, coming into tonight's festivities, Russ was your open category leader with 133 points, while Bobby Childs sitting 30 points back in 4th position. That's going to allow him to close things up just a little bit.
Yeah, well, Tony Kernan here, we saw Tony Kernan earlier have his issues, lost a bunch of ground. He wants that 3rd spot back, and you see him hounding the back of Travis Schwenke right now. He's got a really good run this lap. He might make a move.
He does, going into the S's from the inside. Cannot quite get up to the quarter panel of the number 16 machine of Schwenke. He's going to follow him through turn 10 and onto the back straight. But even there, Larry, you can see where Kernan carried even a little bit more speed through turns 9 and 10.
Yeah.
Just kind of hounding the 16 machine right now.
He turns in a little earlier for that last corner onto the front straight. Just a slightly different, more aggressive line. As Ruddock now trying to get some spots back here from Brooks, a couple of these guys, the open class. Ruddock trying to get back to second if he can.
And Ruddock does. It's got the rear end of the car hanging all out there, coming through through turn 9. But move Russ Ruddock now back up in the 2nd position in the open category. Move Scott Brooks for the moment back to 3rd.
Ruddock has just no respect for that Canadian here, the Canadian track, for Scott Brooks having to, unfortunately, deal with getting past there. Now in 3rd behind Ruddock in class. But here's the shot again of Schwenke. Much better run this time out of the hairpin, trying to hold off the hard-charging Tony Kernan.
All right, and as we now are just a bit over 1 minute remaining here in our first sprint race, trying to track down where our leaders are, and
this
looks
should be
like
white
they're
flag this time by.
Yeah.
As Jacob LeBrun again struggling. Looks like again through that turn 2, his 2nd time tonight.
All right, so let's see if we can pick up our leaders. Here we go. This is the battle for the lead. They've just crossed the start-finish line, coming through turn 1. We are on the very last lap of race number 1, and you can see here there's Lavender just kind of letting it all hang out, try to make up a little bit of ground. He's still, as he's been for I'd say about 2/3 of the race, Larry, about 4/10 back from our leader, Mike Dam.
Yeah, I don't know that he's got any kind of move for him. He's been studying him for the past 29 minutes. You think he would have maybe some knowledge of where he could try. This is the critical spot, though. Get the run off the hairpin, and maybe, just maybe, get yourself in a position side by side,
and as they came out of the hairpin there, Mike Dam looked as though he got the power down just a little bit better. Actually opened up maybe a quarter to a half a car length over Lavender. Might have lost a little bit of it as he tried to move all the way to driver's left, and now Lavender still, though, about a half a car length back. I don't know if he's close enough as they go into the S's here, Larry.
I don't think so. Mike Dam's got really good positioning of his car, not taking the crazy wide lines to allow any dive bombs. And for Mike Dam, a race 1 victory, well earned. That's tremendous pace for a full 30 minutes for those two guys.
All right, so Lavender will come home in 2nd. Now let's take a look at the battle for 3rd, where looks as though Travis Schwenke, he's going to hold off Tony Kernan as they come to the line. So give 3rd to Travis Schwenke. Kernan will come in 4th. Then Violet and Jacobs will bring their cars home 5th and 6th. Let's take a look now as Bobby Childs, he's going to bring his car home. He takes the win in the open category with Steve Daniel coming home in 8th, and then let's take a look and see who's going to get that transfer spot.
Looks like it's going to be our new guy.
Yeah, McClintock comes
Scott
home
Rambler
in 8th, 9th overall, and Rambler will come home in 9th in pro, 10th overall. Scott Rambler will be your pole sitter for race number 2.
And just on the outside looking in is going to be Russ Ruddock, and sort of what could have been for Ruddock, having had a great battle there, an opportunity to chase down for that position there, Bobby Childs, but one little mistake drops him back, and now he's going to start this next race all the way back in 11th
position. And so Ruddock finishes in second in the open category, and then Scott Brooks finishes in third. All right, so Larry, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick little break. Our drivers, they're going to be going out. They've got about a 5-minute warm-up before the second race. There are our results. Again, Mike Dam taking the win in the Orion Racing 93 machine, half a second over Caleb Lavender. Schwenke, Kernan, Violet, your top 5 in the pro category. And then in the open category, finishing 7th overall, Bobby Childs in the D2D E-Racing entry, with Russ Ruddock finishing 2nd, Scott Brooks finishing in 3rd, Nick Parsono 4th, and John Casey finishing in 5th. So let's take a quick little break as our drivers are going to take their 5-minute warm-up for race number 2. We'll pay some bills, thank some of our sponsors, and we'll be back with you here in just a few moments from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. You're watching round 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics, Apex Racing Academy, and Extreme Scoring.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
All right, and we are back here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Mosport, for round number 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series. I'm Greg Ginsburg with Larry McLeod. And before we move on here, we've got a couple cars that are out taking advantage of that 5-minute practice or warm-up that we have before race 2. Wanted to remind everybody, if you like what you see here tonight on the LTS, please go ahead, give us a thumbs up here on YouTube. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to Apex Racing TV. Click on that notification bell so you can find out about all the great motorsports that we have available for you seemingly around the clock on YouTube. In addition, you can find us on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on Facebook just by searching Apex Racing TV, all one word. So, Larry, we saw some of our rookies, for example, Mr. Ramler, probably in the best position he could have ever hoped to be in. He's going to be on pole for race number 2. But we kind of alluded to this early on in the race that, Mosport is definitely a challenging track, and it really bit some of our drivers in race 1.
It totally did. I mean, it bit drivers like Sosa, who ended up in the pit lane. We watched Tony Kernan have his struggles out there. We watched Eric Violet. Some of our real veterans in this series struggle in that first race to keep it on the track. This next half of the evening, this second race, not opportunities there for any more mistakes for these guys. They've got to get one in. But now with your race 1 winner, Mike Dam, and then the runner-up there, Caleb Lavender, those guys put in such a great pace for the first 30 minutes. Now they have to go and they got to pass 9 cars to get to the front on a track that they just proved exactly how difficult it is to pass around here.
Yeah, and so Larry, one of the things I'm wondering about, and we saw this from at the very start of race one, and you mentioned here, it seemingly taking maybe 2, almost 3 laps for these drivers to really get their tires up to temp and get the equipment up to speed here. We saw coming out of the final corner at the start where Mike Dam had the rear end step out on him. We saw Brandon Whitworth have issues multiple times in the first 2 laps with cold tires. And I'm wondering, as a Rambler or a McClintock or a Daniel or a Childs are sitting at the front of the field now and worried about those cars coming up from behind, if they're going to be able to keep those tires underneath them for the first 2 laps or so.
Got to keep it together if you want to have a shot in the race, that's for sure. And if you are the guys who won the race before, now they've got to work their way through traffic. There's got to be a whole lot of trust between those 2 and the 8 cars in front of them. Speaking of those 8 cars, why don't we go through the grid?
Please do, sir.
On the pole, we've got Scott Rambler, the new guy tonight from GTM Racing. On the outside of row 1 is going to be JT McClintock from VTS Racing. Inside of row 2, Steve Daniel, SKKJ Racing Team. On the outside of row 2, our highest race 2 starter, Bobby Childs from D2DE Racing. On row 3, it's Jeff Jacobs on the inside. He'll be lined up alongside Eric Violette. On row 4, we saw him struggle a little bit in the first race. Tony Kernan, he'll be on the inside alongside Travis Schwenke from Orion Racing. On row 5, our 2 leaders that more or less checked out in the first race, Caleb Lavender from D2DE Racing. He'll be alongside the race 1 winner, Mike Dan, the local Canadian here. I don't know if he's local to this track, but he is the Canadian here from Orion Racing. Row 6, a couple of guys from the open class, Russ Ruddick on the inside, alongside Brooks Racing's Scott Brooks. Behind them, you've got Nick Parsino on the inside. He's also from the open class. He'll be alongside Brandon Whitworth. On row 8, VTS Racing's Jacob LeBrun, alongside 046 Racing's John Casey. Row 9, Rafael Sosa, alongside Andre Saunders, a couple guys who struggled in that first race. Really looking for some redemption here going into race number 2.
All right, Larry, and so as we've got the pace car bringing the field around, a couple things to look at here. We talked about the issues that Russ Ruddick had in race 1, and he did work his way back up to 2nd position in the open category. But as our cars are now making their way around on the pace lap, I'm wondering what Ruddick is thinking of his strategy, because he was 1 out of that transfer spot. He's sitting 11th. The gentleman that he is racing for the lead with in the open category is Bobby Childs, who's starting 4th. So, a number of cars there, 7 cars separating Childs from Ruddick here just at the start. It really puts Ruddick on the back foot. Of course, he's going to have Scott Brooks with him starting right beside Brooks, also in the open category, starting 3rd there. So definitely going to be a challenge, but Ruddick, I think probably more so than some of these other racers, really is going to have to get on it and start making ground up on Bobby Childs, hoping that, say, when a Kernan or a Schwenke or a Dam or a Lavender come through, that maybe shuffles Childs back a little bit.
Yeah, I think for Ruddick, he's the one that probably lost the most ground that first race because of mistakes, having at one point led the open class and being right there in the top 6 or so, maybe top 7 of the overall race, to suddenly he's out of the top 10, and he's got 7 cars or so in between he and his chief rival. That's tough round for him to go. The other thing interesting is they come up the Andretti straight here. All the front 7 or 8 cars are all warming their tires. I did not see Lavender or Dam warming their tires. Maybe their thought are maybe a little bit of brake gliding, a little bit of standing on the brakes to get them warm, but I'm wondering if they want to save those tires for the last couple laps.
Yeah, that may certainly be it, as Scott Rambler now leads the field down through turn 10, and he gets on it and gets on it early here, then sticks the car down the center of the track, but he opens up a good advantage there as he cuts across the nose of JT McClintock as they head down now through turn 1, with Steve Daniels slotting into 3rd, then Bobby Childs sitting in 4th, then Jeff Jacobs and Eric Violette. But and we have a driver that's gone off on the outside of turn number 1, and that is John Casey, I believe. That ended up hitting the wall, not a way that he wants to go here, as we jump back on board. And watching right now is Mike Dam in that orange machine, the orange number 93, trying to make his way up through the field. He is currently sitting in 10th overall, and you can see cars just kind of stacking up all in a line here. But Larry, even at this point here, is dropping off and going into the wall. That is Eric Violet.
Wow.
And he comes back across the track in a big, big pile up there. Let's see who else was involved. It looks like LeBron. And, LeBron cannot catch a break, it seems, Larry. He had this happen his very first outing at Watkins Glen as well. But a couple cars
we are going to go
full
course yellow for this one. We don't see this often, but usually it is these kind of cases where 4 and 5 cars get tangled and flipped and all that. So we're going to bring things under control. We're going to get a look at this as side-by-side in the hairpin between Kernan and Violet.
And Violet popping the curbs both on entry and exit, goes into the grass.
Yep.
And as he rejoins,
nowhere to go.
No. Comes right across the front of Kernan.
Yeah,
and as Violet bounces back into traffic, just misses Mike Dam.
Not over yet. As there's Ruddick and LeBron.
Gets Ruddick, then gets LeBron. And then I think looks like Sosa who started at the tail end of the field, managed to avoid the melee.
Wow.
Or did he? Yes, he did. And then Nick Parsono, who was in the 79 machine. Parsono, who I think started from the pit lane, Larry, it looks like he managed to avoid some of the carnage as well, but that really mixes things up here at the front of the field. But it was, if you saw that, it was maybe a foot or two separating the bouncing Eric Violet machine from Mike Dam.
Yeah, that was intense, and a very good call there on the stewards to say, hey, let's get ourselves back under control here, and let's kind of see if we can restart this race a little bit more cleanly.
All right, so sitting in the pits right now is Russ Ruddick, is Jacob LeBron. It looks like Eric Violet is there as well, as you would expect. And, again, for LeBron, it's so unfortunate for him. He seems to, I think at Road America was the first outing where he did not get caught up in some big melee. But his first outing at Watkins Glen, I think both in race 1 and race 2, he was taken out on the very first lap, and kind of a return to form here, unfortunately, for him tonight.
Yeah, it's tough when you go out on lap 1, but that's kind of what happens in some of these. Is you get a lot of some battling going on, and unfortunately, where Eric Violet kind of got himself wide there coming out of the hairpin, and just caused that tremendous chain of events. It wasn't even side by side so much because they kind of cleared that up, but it just you get out in that grass, there's nowhere to go, and then melee ensues.
Cold tires, and everybody has to be on it going through the hairpin on lap number 1, and that's what you see, and that's what happened. Is Violet just ran wide into the grass, and Kernan unfortunately didn't have anywhere to go except into the back of Violet as they came out of the Moss hairpin. As we're still under full course caution here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and you can see the drivers now certainly trying to get some heat, get a little more heat in their tires for when we go back to green flag racing. But sitting up at the top of the field is Ramler. He did manage to hold off McClintock for that first lap, or first half lap, before we went to a full course caution. Steve Daniel and Bobby Childs hold station at 3rd and 4th respectively, as Childs is your open category leader. Then Jeff Jacobs, Travis Schwenke. Schwenke had lost a position. I think the big winner there with the melee, though, was Jeff Jacobs. Jacobs made up 4 spots, came from 9th up to 5th.
Yeah, that's huge. And really, the melee happened behind all them, I guess. So maybe helped kind of get himself around some of that. And now he's up into the top 4 in the pro class. So a great way to start this second race. And now with even less green flags, or the green flag laps to go, the fewer chances to actually pass anybody. So I think now the real pressure is on for Lavender and Dam to make their way through the pack, knowing that it's even less time to do it.
All right, as the field now comes through the S's here, Larry, have you gotten word if we're going to go back to green flag racing this time by?
I have not heard yet, but I'm watching them looking like they might be.
And let's see here if Ramler gets on the throttle. as he did in race 1. And no, not this time by. Or is he? Yeah,
Yep,
it looks like
green,
we're
green,
back
green.
underway, Larry.
Yep.
Here we go as Scott Rambler leads the field now down into turn 1. Just over 5, almost 6 minutes elapsed in this 30-minute sprint. We went to full course caution in lap 1, and we are now back to green flag racing here with the field all bunched up nose to tail as they make their way up out of turn 2 and now make their way up towards turn 3. Larry here, and nobody attempting a pass yet, but as you said, very tough to pass here as they go under the Continental Bridge.
And maybe this time a little bit more conservative
Yes.
as they get down there and see if everybody can make sure they make it through cleanly on this restart lap. So far, so clean. And there's Lavender and Kernan. Looks like Kernan's got a little bit of damage to the front of his car, but still deciding not to pit and staying out there, so must not be too bad.
All right, now making a move to the inside. Travis Schwenke trying to make a move on Jeff Jacobs. Schwenke over to driver's left, Jacobs to driver's right as they go down into turn 8. And Schwenke should have the position as things switch back to the left at turn 9.
Remember, we had seen this in race 1. I think it was Whitworth got up alongside Jacobs, and Jacobs more or less kind of let him go.
Yeah.
This time, choosing not to. This time, a couple of corners are side by side.
Yeah, I don't think he had a choice given the lineup of cars right behind him, Larry. If he pulled over one, you might have seen a real bad compression there. But now we see Jacobs moving all the way driver's left as Lavender tries to sneak by on the outside, and Jacob goes to cover here. That is right now the battle for 7th position, and you can see Jacobs getting very defensive. That's going to push him wide. Coming out of turn number 4, though, as they make the run over toward, or probably not 4, coming out of 3.
Lavender is going to get a little bit aggressive, and Jacobs going to actually concede a couple of spots there, both Lavender and Dam getting on through. Who's that parked on the side over there? I think that's Rambler.
Rambler, I think.
Yes,
yeah, there you go. Our leader, Scott Rambler, now in the pits. We didn't see what happened to him. Hopefully we can
Given
pick
where
up
he's
that.
parked, I have my suspicions. Perhaps it's a corner entry looseness leading to the outside of corner.
And yeah, he missed the apex by about, I'd say about a mile.
That's strange. He just kind of stopped.
And
yeah, lots of things. Didn't see anything significant. This is significant, though, as Brooks, the other Canadian in the field, manages to not get clobbered. Sosa, meanwhile, had to go a little bit aggro to avoid him.
Popping over the curb there. That was over at turn 9, over in the S's. Let's see if we can see what led to this as they come down. Sosa and Brooks side by side as they go into the S's. Oh, and there's contact there.
Yeah, there definitely was contact, and I don't know. They're going to look at it. Good luck with the stewards in this one, because that's tough. That's just two racers side by side through a nice, long, fast, sweeping S. I don't know if anybody had a nose ahead or had any need to concede. I think that just might be everybody just sort of ran out of room.
All right, so Larry, if we reset the field here, JT McClintock, you can see him there, that blue car coming out of the hairpin. He now has almost a 1.3 second lead over Steve Daniel, who's now moved up into second in the number 96 machine, that bronze-colored car. Back behind him is Bobby Childs, our leader in the open category, then Schwenke, then Tony Kernan, then Caleb Lavender. Schwenke now getting around Bobby Childs.
Schwenke getting awfully racy here, wanted to get through this pack. Maybe he's sensing an opportunity, knowing that his teammate, as Kernan, gets bumped a little bit there in the middle of turn 9.
As I say, Kernan had eyes on getting around Bobby Child as well, and looks like he got kind of bumped over, and he's now under attack from Caleb Lavender in the 333 machine.
I wonder if that damage on the front of that car has him a little bit limited in straight line speed around this place as fast as it is. Might be hurting him a little bit in some of these longer straightaways, but he managed to hold ground, at least to hold his position in front of Lavender and Mike Dam. But I wonder if the next time we see a long straightaway, Tony Kernan's going to struggle and almost have to let these guys by.
Yeah, we can see there is Lavender having a little bit of, maybe getting a little bit of front end push as well, Larry. It may not all just be straight line speed issues there for him. Here as we go back on board with Steve Daniel, currently running second. He's trying to hold off Schwenke now, who's moved up into third position. Schwenke having made up 5 positions since the start of the race, as our leader JT McClintock starts to scoot away just a little bit. But right now, Daniel and Schwenke in a nice little pocket there with the battling that we saw between Kernan and Childs a little bit further behind. And now look at this. Kernan manages to get around Bobby Childs. And I think Mike Dam knocking on the door as well there with Lavender in the mix also.
Yeah, and you may have noticed right there that Rafael Sosa given the penalty there for his, I guess, deemed responsibility in that battle that he had and that contact he had with Brooks. He's got a drive-through penalty to serve. As this, the rest of these guys keep flip-flopping around there. As Mike Dam now also trying to stay with these guys. He fell back a little bit trying to get around Bobby Childs. He's now done that, but now he still wants to keep up with Lavender, who's starting to pick his way through the field.
Yeah, and Dam, who now is picked up 4 positions. I think most of it has been due to attrition in the field up ahead of him. I think it would do him well to just try and stick to the back of Caleb Lavender, and the two of them work together to try and pick their way through the field here. But things are starting to tighten up as Steve Daniel doing a pretty good job holding off both Schwenke, well, not just both Schwenke and Kernan, but Lavender as well in that little group. We'll have to see how much longer the 96 machine can hold this up.
You mentioned about Mike Dam maybe just trying to stick to the back of Lavender. I think that's exactly what he's doing. I think Lavender's sticking to the back of Tony Kernan, who's sticking to the back of Schwenke, who just had maybe contact there with Steve Daniel.
There was contact there between Schwenke and Daniel got together. Then Lavender goes off as well.
I think Lavender's might have been unforced as he just saw the sliding Daniel car off on his right and ended up in a bad spot in the track.
I think that's exactly what happened, Larry, is originally we saw Schwenke and Daniel get together going into turn 9. Let's take a look at the replay here as we can see now coming underneath Steve Daniel is Schwenke going through turn 8.
There, but Daniel doesn't give him a lot of room.
Yeah, it doesn't give him a lot of room there.
We just saw Sosa get penalized for that, doing that with Scott Brooks. Daniel kind of does that to Schwenke here. Kernan avoids it. Lavender, though, makes a bit more of a drastic move, and just you can see it.
Yeah, Lavender gets into the grass. Yeah. As Dam sneaks right underneath. So move Dam now up into 4th. Daniel, for the moment, is going to hold on to 3rd position. Tony Kernan, who had gotten by him a little bit earlier, is now your 2nd place runner. And we'll have to see now if Kernan can make his way up to our leader, JT McClintock, as we jump a little bit further back.
Yeah, here's Whitworth now trying to make a move on Jeff Jacobs. Mike Dam, though, huge opportunity. You think about it. Well, he just made his way past Steve Daniel. And now in front of him, he's got a Tony Kernan, who's built a little bit of gap after the little melee there. Oh, Kernan a little bit wide. But I think opportunity there. If Kernan's car is all limping, Mike Dam's going to try and take advantage of that now that it should be a mano-a-mano event when he gets there. There shouldn't be any other traffic for him. So good opportunity now to recover and to really make up ground and have really back-to-back good finishes. I don't know if he'll be able to catch McClintock. He does have strong pace if he can be running those low 115s. McClintock's running 116s. But he still has to get around Tony Kernan before he can even think about getting up towards
Exactly, yes.
But this whole group right here now with Jacobs in the middle of this, Whitworth behind him, Childs out in front of him. Childs still leading in the open class, of course. So Childs may or may not care about the guys behind him.
Yeah, although, and here's the interesting note here, Larry, is that Nick Parsono, who started at the tail end of the field now, he has made his way up. He is now sitting in 9th overall, 2nd in the open category. And you can see him sitting back there in that white machine right behind the very damaged number 333 of Lavender here. Lavender, I think, just kind of a sitting duck at this point.
Yes, he is. I wonder if he's a Canadian duck. Did I make that joke last time? I got to stop doing that.
Well, is there a difference between a Canadian duck and a Canadian geese?
Either way, it's foul language, and I shouldn't be using it.
That's right. All right, so but Parsono starting to close things down a little bit on Bobby Childs. Only 4 cars separating them. Remember that Childs had a 7-car gap back to the second starting car, who I guess at the time was Russ Ruddick at the start of this race. So things closing down. Maybe Childs is going to have to start thinking about how he's gonna approach this, as perhaps some competitors in class start to close things down a little bit as we stay here in this battle right now I guess we're sitting back and looking at the battle for fourth right now with Daniel, Childs, Jacobs, and also Whitworth.
So I suspect that Bobby Childs, although again he's not really part of this. In fact, he's actually going to let these guys go by with Whitworth and Jacobs. So I think he's going to let them go through. But I wonder if he doesn't even know how far back Parsono is, because your relative screen only gives you 2 or 3 cars worth of data. It doesn't give you the 4th and 5th car in sequence. So now that he's let Jacobs and Whitworth go by, he can now see his relative screen that, hey, Parsono's 9 seconds back. It could be a bit strategic there to know where in the world is he, what does he have to do, and to not put up too much of a fight and slow himself down. As Mike Dam just put in fastest lap of the race, on his way to trying to catch up with Tony Kernan out in front of him. And Tony's been doing a pretty good job of taking some time out of McClintock's lead.
Yeah, they both have that last time by. Both Dam and Kernan about a half a second faster than JT McClintock. Of course, McClintock at this point, he's got a little bit of time to give, but I'm sure he's looking at that relative screen and seeing those numbers coming down.
He's averaging about a half a second a lap, one lap maybe through some traffic there, but the rest has been a good half a second every time. That puts him about 4 laps away from being on McClintock's tail. McClintock will be a tough pass for sure. What that'll end up doing, though, is if Mike Dam keeps this pace, Mike might just keep pushing and hoping the 3 of them come together in about 5 laps to go. And he'll have a shot to flip-flop that order, as Schwenke struggling a little bit at the hairpin.
Over at the hairpin, yeah. Let's take a look here as Travis Schwenke comes up the hill, under braking into 5A. And
mid-corner dipsy-do. There it goes.
Yeah, haven't we seen this many times before this evening going into the second part of the Moss hairpin?
As Jacobs now still in this battle with Brendan Whitworth. They seem to be battling all night between these two. I think Jacobs is getting more comfortable with this track, and he's going to make sure that he actually looks to hold this spot.
Look at this as he moves down to the inside. They're coming out of 4 to get a little bit defensive as they start to make their way up to the hairpin.
Well, he's trying to catch up with Daniel in front now with the 3 of them. If you're Whitworth, you got to figure, where am I going to make this move? But you want to do things like that. Close up under braking, get on the gas early. And Whitworth, tremendous job on the gas early. He might have a good chance to get past Jacobs here on this straightaway. Jacobs getting a little bit of a toe from Daniel in front of him, though. Well, he's got enough room to
here. I suspect that we'll see now if Jacobs keeps that car to the inside, ready to go side by side through the S's if he has to. And as opposed to in race 1 where we saw him pretty much just concede a position to keep from going side by side. But I think you got it, Larry. He's definitely, I think after as many laps as he's put in, about 35 laps or so far this evening, starting to feel a lot more comfortable here at Mosport.
He sure is. You look at that pace, 16.6 last time by. That's solid at this point of the race. Although Mike Dam last time by a 15.8. Tony Kernan 15.7, JT McClintock 16.3. As you can see, those margins are starting to come down quickly at the front.
Yeah, another 3 laps or so that would put Kernan probably right on the back of our leader JT McClintock.
Yep. And 3 laps at 1 minute and 15 apiece puts you at about 4 minutes from now. That puts you at the 23-minute mark of the race. Good enough for about 5 laps of sprint racing to finish this thing off and see which one of these 3 can take home the checker.
All right, as we jump a little bit further back, and once again, that battle, Steve Daniel, a good advantage right now over Jacobs and Whitworth. Bobby Childs, the last car in that line, again, not really willing to get into the battle with the pro category cars here as Jacobs and Whitworth go side by side just ahead of him. But Parsono, taking a look here, Parsono, he's still about 12 seconds back. So Childs, he's got an advantage at the moment.
I think Dam's just going to stick with Kernan at this point, unless he thinks that he knows if he wants to win the race, he has to get by them both. I think if an opportunity presents itself, maybe. Otherwise, he might just be thinking we can catch McClintock faster as a pair working together than we can with a fight.
All right, Larry, as we've got just about 10 minutes left, and things seem to be pretty steady here. We do have Eric Violet, who, of course, out, I'm sure, much earlier than he would have wanted in tonight's second sprint race. He's, if you like, we can bring him on in and talk to him a little bit.
All right. So Eric Violet's joined us, and Eric, not the time of the race you normally want to be being interviewed by the commentators, but walk me through a little bit of that lap 1 incident.
Oh, I just did something that I didn't do before, just kind of shot in there, just kind of take a peek. I wasn't going to completely dive bomb, just kind of see if he moved over and I could take that spot away, and it's kind of getting his head a little bit, but started locking him up, went into the turn, lost track of Tony there, and so I was holding it down tight, hit the that curb on the exit of Moss, and it kind of popped me towards the grass, and you're just not used to turning the wheel so far right coming out of there, and I just kind of, muscle memory, didn't turn it enough, and got in the grass. And once you're in there, if you hit the gas, you spin. If you take your foot off the gas, you spin. And so I kind of popped out right in the middle of the track, probably doing about 30 miles an hour slower than everybody else. And I think it was Tony that was behind me, and there's nothing he could do. He just popped into me, and he just once he popped me, I was going for a ride into the wall.
Yeah, that looked pretty violent at that point, and your race was pretty much over, and not the best performance for you. But hopefully you're sitting back and watching this race, because right now there's going to be a battle for the lead here as three drivers. One of those three is Tony Kernan, so he apparently has survived the contact with you.
Yep, I just figured I'd pop in here and kind of take Bobby's role, that he's usually talking to you like this.
Well, we appreciate it. Glad to see that you're okay and you're out of medical. They've checked you out, and you're able to watch. As we're going to go back to racing, because Lavender and Swanky just came together. So thanks for joining us, Eric.
Looking pretty hot up there. All right.
Thanks a lot. There you go. That was Eric Violet. Fortunately, his race ended a little bit early this evening, but we want to thank him for joining us here in the announce booth as we just had that incident. We're going to take a look at it, I think, here between Lavender and Schwenke, and Lavender coming up through the hairpin.
He got hit from behind by Brooks, but a bit of an accordion there, as this is where it's at. This is Schwenke now recovering. We're going to get up to that front battle here, as I think McClintock, Kernan, and Dam are all 1, 2, 3, nose to tail. This is going to be one heck of a battle. Yeah,
things closed down about a half a lap ago, and now JT McClintock, he's going to have to hold off Tony Kernan and Mike Dam for about 7 minutes, Larry. So,
I don't know that he's going to do it for the next straightaway, as he did not get as good a run as Tony Kernan did. We're going to see ourselves a side-by-side through turn 8 here in about 5 seconds.
Yeah, as Kernan got a great jump and is up to the quarter panel here. We'll see what happens under braking going into turn 8. And you can see Kernan's machine kind of jumping around a little bit. Doesn't appear to be the best handling machine here as McClintock sticks to the inside.
McClintock not at all going to fade. He's going to stick with this. Not an easy way to get a good run coming off of the last corner. They're going to keep this up with Mike Dam right in rears and all the way through turn 1. The easier line to the inside, but now you're on the outside for turn 2. Looks like Kernan been able to make that pass stick.
And there you go. So moving up to the lead now is Tony Kernan, but Mike Dam, picking a horse, and I think he picked right. Obviously, he was trying to follow Tony Kernan through here, but Mike Dam, he's still got a battle on his hands with JT McClintock. McClintock, for the moment, holding him off here as they start to make their way underneath the bridge, and they're going to make that run up to the hairpin. This is where McClintock seems to be let down just a little bit, and you can see taking somewhat of a defensive line into the hairpin. That's going to affect his exit speed mightily, Larry.
It's the protective line, but it's also a bit of the conservative one, because the further out you get at the midpoint of that corner, the harder it is to recover, because you get really close to where the pavement drops off. So it's an easier line to drive narrow like that, but it is definitely not the same straightaway speed down the Andretti straight. For Mike Dam, he's not out of this yet. I mean, it's still 5 minutes to go. He's only 0.6 back from Tony Kernan, so we're not nearly done there yet, as we got a good shot now at Jacobs and Daniel doing the side-by-side through the S's.
And now we know Jacobs doesn't have an issue going side-by-side with somebody through the S's here towards the end of this race, as he went with the 38 of Jacobs, and Jacobs manages to get back, or probably Daniel manages to get back by Jacobs as they come out of turn 10 onto the front straight. It looked like, I thought for a moment there, they might have touched coming through the final corner, but does not appear to have crossed anything up here, as Mike Dam is going to try once again as they come down the hill out of turn 1 and through
Mike
2
Dam
and
is
up
quicker
to
than a lot of. Look how wide Mike Dam gets.
Yeah.
It gets you, and it looks like he's falling back, but trust me, he's a little longer line, but he gets
Slow
on the
in,
gas
fast
so much
out.
earlier. Yep, totally. You get on the gas earlier. He who wins the race to the gas pedal typically wins the next straightaway, and I would bet right there that's where it's going to happen. McClintock managed to get this one okay. Again, defensive line going down into 8, but he hasn't given up the ground yet. But Mike Dam definitely quicker in a lot of places on the average.
Sure, and of course, every time McClintock has to get defensive to hold off Mike Dam, that's going to impact his exit speeds out of a corner here as we watch.
These guys.
Yeah, this is turning into a great little battle here as Steve Daniel has held off Jeff Jacobs, but you see right behind him Brandon Whitworth, who had his share of problems in race number 1, going at it right now with Jeff Jacobs here. As now we look at towards the front of the field, and Mike Dam does manage to get past JT McClintock, so move Mike Dam now up into 2nd. And as we only have 3.5 minutes remaining, Larry, so that should put us at about 3 more?
Maybe a third lap.
Maybe a third lap, I think,
are,
based on where they are on track. It's a little bit of time for Mike Dam to get up there, but you look at it, and it took Mike Dam 4 laps or so, or 3 laps actually, to get around McClintock.
And McClintock, a car that he's about a half a second a lap faster, whereas the relative pace between Dam and Kernan is probably only about 0.3, makes it that much harder to make that pass. So right now with 1 second gap, we're going to keep our eye on that as we wind down the clock. But this battle here, Whitworth, Jacobs defensive everywhere. Whitworth now going to try around the outside through the S's. We've seen this end in tears tonight. Not able to make it stick yet.
No, and Jacobs holds him off there once again, and if these were real cars, and maybe a little bit of tap there, and running wide is Bobby Childs. He doesn't want to loop that car in the last couple minutes here with a 17-second advantage over Parsino as they now make their way through. I was going to say, if this was real life racing, I would want the in-car camera from Bobby Childs. I think he's probably got the best view of the evening's festivities here.
Probably does. A really good shot there. Maybe that's why he was working to let these guys by. Hey, there we go, right on cue. In car from Bobby. He's got that great view of the guys out in front of him. But if this were real racing in Lamborghinis, these guys would all be halfway amateurs, and there'd be a lot more door banging than we're seeing tonight.
That's right.
We're way more professional.
And there'd be an insurance adjuster waiting for them in the paddock when they came back after the race.
That deductible is not cheap.
No, $11,000 the last time I checked. All right, side by side now, it is Whitworth and Jacobs as they make the run down over towards the S's.
Jacobs runs wide, but Whitworth is going to hold his line this time. No, for Jacobs.
And Jacobs might have gotten into the side the 42 of Whitworth, and it all ends in tears for the number 38 of Jeff Jacobs.
Yeah. I think Jeff got a little bit squirrely across the apex curbing there at 8 and never quite recovered. And luckily for Whitworth, it didn't take him out. It just took Jeff out. As here you go, Mike Dam now closing on Kernan. When Mike Dam was released from the McClintock cage a moment ago, he was about 1 second back. He's trimmed that all the way to 4/10 by cutting a 15.4 lap time, which is about a 10th off of his fastest lap of the race.
But Larry, we are under 1 minute remaining, and so this should be the last lap here. We might get under the wire here, but I don't think so, as we have only about 40 seconds left as the drivers are now making their way down the Andretti straight. It's going to be close if we get one more lap here.
And these guys know. They know if they saw white. And that means Mike Dam knows if he's got to make a pass, he's got to make it stick. And really, if you're not alongside an 8,
I think we're going to get one more lap here, Larry.
Oh, I hope we do.
As they come out of turn 10 with about 15 seconds remaining.
There's that white flag in the air.
There we go. So white flag in the air. Last lap. Tony Kernan in the number 7 Kernan Motorsports entry. He is your leader currently. Mike Dam, our winner from race 1 in the 93 Orion Racing entry is running in second, and a little bit further back from there, JT McClintock running in third. But we're watching this battle right now for fourth with Steve Daniel and now Brandon Whitworth. What was a 3-car battle is now a 2-car battle for fourth, just off the podium.
Yep. And I'm sure Bobby Childs still has an outsider's look at it. They're a little bit further ahead as Daniel Whitworth now side by side through 3.
And you saw as Whitworth just straight lined it coming out of 2 to try and get up alongside, and it works as he now takes over the position from Steve Daniels to drop Daniel now back into 5th.
All right, here's the battle for the lead. This is the one we all want to watch. How good of a run did Tony Kernan get out of the Moss hairpin? Looks like a solid one. Does Mike Dam have anything? He's got to try it. He's going to throw the whole kitchen sink at it. I don't think he's got it. I think right now Kernan just kind of glide those pedals, do the dance, 8, 9, 10, and he might just have himself a gold medal.
All right, a little tap of the brake there coming through the final corner through turn 10 and going to come across the line with the win. It is Tony Kernan. Mike Dam will finish in second. JT McClintock, great run for him tonight. He finishes in third. Brandon Whitworth, he is going to hold off Steve Daniel. So Whitworth will come in fourth. Daniel 5th. Our winner in the open category and coming home in 6th is Bobby Childs. Then we've got, looks like Sosa. There's Mr. Sosa. After that early penalty, he is going to bring his car home in 7th, finishing 6th in the pro category. Great run for him. I think he made up 10 positions in this race. And then there's Jeff Jacobs in that damaged number 38 machine. He's going to finish 8th, and Andre Saunders 9th. And then we've got finishing 2nd in the open category, Nick Parsono crossing the stripe with Caleb Lavender right back behind in the 333 machine. But good run for Parsono. Started at the tail end of the field, finishes 2nd in the open category, 10th overall. And Scott Brooks will come home 3rd in the open category.
I tell you, Tony Kernan, that recovery from the incident, we talked to Eric Violette. He basically got rear-ended by Kernan when Violette was so slow coming off of the hairpin. Kernan able to drive through that and come away with a win here. This is huge for him. This is a really great run in the second race.
Yeah, it was a very good run, very strong. There we go. We have the final results there on screen. Kernan, Dam, McClintock, your top 3 in pro. Childs, Parsono, Brooks, your top 3 in the open category. And, maybe not exactly the start to this race we wanted or expected, but definitely brought us some very good racing once we went back to green flag racing. All right, Larry, we're going to take another quick break here. And when we come back, we're going to have some of our podium finishers. We're going to bring them in and talk to them. You have just watched round 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Lambo Trophy Series live from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and we'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
All right, and we are back here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, Mosport, where we've just seen round number 4, our two 30-minute sprint races in the Lambo Trophy Series. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry McLeod. And Larry, we've got a couple folks that have popped into the green room. Why don't we bring in first our winner in the open category, driver of the number 88 D2D E-Racing Lamborghini, Bobby Childs.
All right, we've got Bobby Childs with us. Bobby, a couple of great races for you, bringing home victories in both. But you had a couple of good battles in the first race. But walk me through the second race, as you were kind of in the middle of the mix with a bunch of the pro class drivers there.
Oh yeah, the second race, with the reverse grid, I knew I had a lot of fast drivers behind me, and the rest of the open guys were pretty far back. So my only strategy there really was just to keep pace and let those guys go clean where I could. And I'm sure you saw that in the broadcast. I was frequently letting guys just kind of go by on the straight out of Moss. I didn't want to interrupt the pro battle at all, because that wasn't my race.
Yeah, I noticed at one point you had done that, and my comment there was, I think it was might have been Parsino. I think somebody who was ever running second in the open class at that point was so far many spots behind you, you probably didn't know how close he was. But as soon as you let those cars go by, maybe you were able to gauge yourself. Was that also part of it, to just say, I'm not going to battle, but let me see where the rest of the class is?
Nope, it was straight up just not battle the pro guys and keep out of trouble. And I figured the rest would take care of itself as far ahead as I started. I knew I had really good pace. So I just wanted to race smart and not race hard.
Yeah, and that around this place, racing smart is definitely the smart move. As we saw a lot of folks struggle with the Moss hairpin tonight. I don't know if there's a temperature issue tonight with the sunset or whatever, but man, it looked like just treacherous sometimes going down there through that turn 5.
Yeah, the Lambo gets really light coming over that hill. This is the most light I've ever felt a car get in that area. It gets very unsettled, so you do really have to tiptoe the car. It does not like the exit curbs at Moss, either on the inside or outside. So you've really got to be nailing everything. You could see some guys braking real hard on entry and real late, and all it was doing was compromising their exits every time.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit conservative tonight goes a long way, and for you, that gets you all the way to 2 victories, race 1 and race 2 in the open class. So congrats on that. And who do you want to give the shout out to tonight?
Well, man, Russ Ruddick and Steve Daniel, that race 1 battle was just so amazing. It was so much fun. I hated that Russ had an incident behind after we started really, I got in front of him, but he was staying right with me in the race battle. So, it just great job. I've got to send a shout out to my teammate, Caleb Lavender. He didn't have the night he wanted, but he worked with me this weekend on some things going on with my sim rig, actually, with my braking, and identified an issue there that needed to be fixed. And man, doing that, the car felt so much better. It's what allowed me to run consistently and get up there and battle with Russ and Steve in race 1 and run stable in race 2. So I didn't affect anyone and didn't cost myself a win. So big shout out there. And of course, shout out to both Chris's, Chris at Skull Sim Gear and Chris at Proforma Elite Texas Graphics, who take such good care of D2D E-Racing. Unfortunately, Chris Thorman couldn't be with us tonight. Want to say hi to him at home in Texas, where he's either trapped under his house or trying to get a spider out of his truck. I'm not sure.
Either way, it sounds treacherous. So, Bobby, thanks for the comments, and really, again, congrats on the double win. Looking forward to seeing you in the next race.
Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, there you go. Bobby Childs in the number 88 D2D E-Racing entry. Larry, why don't we bring in now, and I don't know if we've actually had him in the commentary booth before. Let's bring in Jeremiah McClintock, driver of the number 21 VTS Racing entry. Great job tonight, finishing in 3rd in the second race, holding off both Dam and also Kernan for the longest time. It was a great run for him this evening.
All right, JT McClintock starts this second race on the front row. JT, you maximize that through the rest of the race. Walk me through a little bit of that restart and how you built that gap.
Oh man, can you believe that?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what happened to Rambler Man, but at the beginning there, but he like pulled off. I almost pretty much ran right in the back of him, but as soon as he parked off to the side, man, I put on the boosters and tried to get away as much as possible.
Yeah, well, then when Kernan and Dam started catching you, you put up a pretty tremendous fight there. You're probably hoping, come on, clock, run a little bit faster.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The guy who was spotting for me was telling me the wrong time. So he was telling me I had 2 minutes left. We still had 5, so I was putting up the put my elbows out quite as far as I could.
Yeah, but really good race, good finish for you. Be able to start up there in the front and hang on to it and get up into the podiums. It's finally feeling like you're getting your groove in on with the series.
I mean, I'm definitely not the fastest one here, but the racing's really good, man. It's a lot of fun running with these guys. So, we'll see. It's more just keep your head down, don't make mistakes, and you'll generally get good results. So, gonna keep sticking with that strategy.
Yeah, it's solid strategy, especially to track like Mosport. So, congrats on the podium, JT, and I'll race again with you probably tomorrow night. But we'll see you next time here.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.
All right, JT McClintock, driver of the number 21 VTS racing machine. All right, Larry, so let us bring in our winner from race 1, finished second in race number 2, driving the number 93 Orion Racing entry, Mike Dam.
We got Mike Dam in here with us. And Mike, race 1 was a heck of a battle between yourself and Lavender. How were you able to go the 30 minutes and hold him off around this place?
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, it was tough. I remember looking at the clock, and it was 8 minutes in, and I'm like, holy crap, what am I going to do? But I stuck with it. I focused. There was a couple times when I had a little bobble. I almost lost it on Moss there, actually. But I was able to keep him somehow behind.
Yeah, and then the second race comes, and you had the big incident in the first lap, which I don't know how you guys all managed to avoid that. But picking your way through traffic, really a big challenge tonight. There's some fast drivers you had to come across up and near the front.
Absolutely. It makes it tough because we have a pretty strong top 10 here. So usually most of the guys that get inverted ahead of you aren't very easy to pass, especially on a track like this where there's a lot of draft and just high speed. Also a lot of places where you can go too wide and there's not necessarily a better line.
Yeah, tough path. You got your way all the way up there to Tony. Were you trying to maybe hope for the 33, 34 minute race in that second round?
Yeah, I kind of played my cards. Kind of wanted to see what was going to happen with McClintock and Kernan there. I would have liked to get by McClintock there a little quicker, but I managed to do that. And then, I just didn't quite get the run out of Moss in order to get that last lap pass there. So it was a good race by Tony.
Yeah, he had a great race, but yourself a first place and second place for the 2 rounds tonight. Solid performance, Mike. Anybody you want to thank for tonight's performance?
Yeah, just all the guys who race. It's a really competitive series this season. So, just Kevin and Jeff for putting this on, Frank at Ricmotech, and you guys for broadcasting. Thank you.
Well, thanks again, Mike, and congrats, and looking forward to seeing you in the next round.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Mike Dam, winner in race 1, second in race number 2, driving the number 93 Orion Racing entry. And then finally, Larry, let's bring in our winner from race number 2 tonight in the Kernan Motorsports number 7 machine, Tony Kernan.
All right, Tony Kernan. We finally got it right tonight. Congrats on this victory.
And by the way, talk to Mike Dam because he didn't.
Yeah, you got to teach him how to get it right. But Tony, great victory in this second race tonight. Finally, a good result here in the Lambo Series. It's got to make you feel pretty good.
Oh, I feel amazing. I'm blown away right now. I really can't believe I pulled this off. It was a fun one.
Yeah, well, walk me to the start of that second race, because I think you were right behind Eric Violet when he had the issue off track left there coming out of Moss. So I think you actually got into the back of him, didn't you?
I did, and actually, I just watched a little bit of the replay, and I could tell that I had damage. I was down on straightaway speed a little bit, so I hit him hard, but I didn't have nowhere to go. Like, it looked like he went off track and, got loose and then came down in front of me. And, it was a thing of just, I was in the wrong place. That's why I'm really surprised that, I was able to pull this off tonight.
Yeah, no, you're able to really get those great runs. In fact, we just talked to Mike Dam, and he said he could not get that run coming out of the Moss hairpin to be able to catch on the last couple of laps. But for you, I don't know if it's in late in that race, as you're now got Mike behind you for the last couple of laps. Were you flashing back to race one and the offs that you had there that cost you a spot there, Moss? Do you think about those things, or do you just think about execution going in?
Yeah, I just thought about execution. After race one, I went back and watched the replay, and I knew exactly what I did wrong. I wasn't going to do it again. But I also was trying to execute the best run that I could, knowing I was down on straightaway speed. So I, kind of slowed down a little bit more on entry so I can get a better exit.
Yeah, so they say slow in, fast out is kind of the way to go, and that hairpin is kind of the epitome of that strategy, and it pays off with a big victory here for you tonight. And so, who do you got to thank tonight? This is a big victory for you.
Yeah, well, I think Extreme. This is such a great series. All the work that they do, iRacing, such a great sim. To be able to put on this competition, it's such a blast. And my parents again. I know they're watching again. So love you guys. That's it.
Awesome. Yep. Always a big family. Always behind the drivers, got to have a family there to support. So congrats again tonight, Tony, and love talking to you here on these winning rounds. So let's keep that up for next time, huh?
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, Tony.
All right, there you go. Tony Kernan, tonight's winner in round number 2 in the number 7.
Again? What was his name again?
Tony Kernan.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go. Tony Kernan, driver of the number 7 Kernan Motorsports. Entry our winner from race number 2 tonight. Yeah, I was just following Mike Dam's lead. Anyway,
that's the Canadian pronunciation, but
that's absolutely right. That is the Ontario pronunciation. See, all right. So Larry, as we're wrapping things up here tonight from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park from Mosport, let's take a look ahead at what we have coming up here in the different Ricmotech series. Next week, we've got the Ricmotech World Challenge. They are going to be heading up to Road America, up to Elkhart Lake, the National Park of Speed, for round 4 of 8. Those are our LMP2 cars as well as our GT3 cars, including the Lamborghini Huracans. So definitely check in with us next Monday night at 8 p.m. And then in 2 weeks, the Lamborghini Trophy Series returns. We head to Virginia International Raceway and Heaven Here on Earth for round number 5 of 7 in the LTS. You definitely don't want to miss that again. That is 2 weeks from tonight, November 1st. And, of course, keep checking in. The Classic Sprint Series, our Mazda MX-5 series, will be returning in early January for what I believe is season number 20. So keep with us, and we'll let you know exactly when that next season is starting up and where our MX-5 drivers will be taking their cars on course. So if you want to find out more about the LTS, make sure to check out ExtremeMotorsports99.com, where we will have final results. And if you haven't done so already, please give us that thumbs up, click on the subscribe button, and then click on that notification bell to find out about all the great virtual racing programming that Apex Racing TV has. So for Larry McLeod, for Dennis Branch sitting back in the control room, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we will see you next Monday night for the Ricmotech World Challenge.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.